Hello everyone, Silverstruck here. Welcome to the Silverstruck channel. This box is indeed a US Mint box for apes, American Platinum Eagles, but this is just a storage box that I use to keep one of the most interesting parts of my vintage silver collection, at least I feel so, which is the USVI ingots that I find. It's taken years and years of stacking these things to be able to accumulate a pretty decent amount. So here we have it, my box of USVI. I recently was able to find 7 more ingots at a local coin shop. Very, very far and few between trying to pick these up at local coin shops. A lot of these were acquired through trade. I have the 1 round, and then a couple special ones here. And then, of course, the box is full of all sorts of different USVI, some 10 ounces and a whole bunch of 1 ounces right here. So let me get this box all emptied out and organized, and I'll share with you my newest 7 ounces. We'll do an ounce count as well. All right, my friends, so here we are with all of the contents of that box laid out for all to see. We have exactly 101 ounces inside the box, mostly in the form of 1 ounce ingots, but we do have a couple 10 ounces here on the table. These back here, of course, these are the original, this form of silver is the original stacker bar. You can see how it's formed right here. These predate Scottsdale Mint and everyone else that was doing a stacker. So the original stacker fits nice. And the 10 ounce ones, they fit quite nice. And the 1 ounce, the weight's not really there. They still stack kind of, as you can see. They're mostly stacked in groups of 5. So that's how I like to have these all grouped together. There's a couple different varieties. I'm not going to get too lost in the weeds here on varieties, but there's a standard production ingot which has many different types of lot numbers. For those of you that are not familiar with USVI rounds, they say A mark on one side, and as you flip them over, you'll have usually a date. You can see here at the bottom, these are 1981s, and then you have a lot number in that circle right there. There's a lot of different rare variations that you can find. I don't have any super, super rare ones. I have some that are harder to find, but as far as like the ones that are holy grail rare, none of those here in the collection so far. Now, without further delay, let me show you the 7 ounces we're going to add to bring the ounce count to 108 ounces for this little portion of my stack. It's these 7 right here. I didn't leave an ounce behind once I found these bars. And I was happy to find a couple different varieties in here. So let's start with this top one right here. And this one may seem like a standard production ingot, but look at that lot number in the center. See how it's raised? Mostly those lot numbers are concave. This one happens to be raised for a lot number, so that's really interesting. So pretty cool A mark. This one is definitely a more rare variety, so happy to have this one in the stack. Let's check out the next one. Now this is an Anaheim. This is another variety. There's rare versions of Anaheim, but this one isn't necessarily that rare. I was able to find a couple of these. Beautiful. Anaheim is more scarce than the standard production ingot, so there's that. Here's a second Anaheim that I was able to pick up. Beautiful. I like these. I like the fact these are dated. So usually when I'm collecting, dates, serial numbers, lot numbers, that all kind of adds into the interest for a collector. Glad to have these here with lot numbers and dates. I think the rest of these are just standard ones, different lot numbers. Some of these lot numbers are harder to find than others. Like I said, that's getting a little into the weeds as a collector, so I don't necessarily want to do that. There's another one right here. Oops. There you have it. That's a lot number that's harder to find, at least in my stack right there. And then the last ingot. Pretty cool. So adding 7 of these, that's hard to do, especially shopping out there at a local coin shop. This is part of my deep stack, if you will. So believe it or not, I'd let Engelhard prospectors out of the stack before I let any of these USVIs out. Other variations you want to look for is sometimes you have these flat bar types here. This is another type of variation. I have a number of these in the stack. Not too many of them. Pretty nice. They're undated. There are some variations of them. So I showed these in the beginning. These sat on top of that box. This is a C. Ryan and Associates of Seattle, Washington version. If you look at the other side, you can see that it's clearly USVI. This one's rare in the sense that it actually comes with a COA. So I love having COAs when available. So this is a pretty good one. I got this one from a trade with Mark, along with the second one right here. So that was a really fun trade. And part of the reason I have so many of these USVIs isn't just finding them out in the wild. It's trading with peers. So that's always a good way to be able to build a stack. One last thing before I let you go. Let's have a close-up look at this round. This one's another one to look for. I only have one, and highly recommend you pick up one of these in the wild if you happen to find it. That's a tough one. So one in the stack. Maybe someday I'll be able to add more. I keep it with my USVI bars instead of my my tubes of rounds. So you'll have to let me know in the comment section. Do you like to stack and collect USVI ingots? If so, let me know what the rarest one you have is. Don't forget to leave me that comment. And as always, thank you so much for watching.